Hello and welcome back to the Framed podcast. My name is Ben, and today we are going to be talking a lot about Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. Quite a few things have happened this week, so I thought I'll tick some off before we get into the main part of this sci-fi masterpiece that is Steven Spielberg's return to big cinema. And I wanted to talk about some of the other films that are in cinemas at the moment, and I guess it rounds up quite nicely into what we are going to talk about with Disclosure Day. So first we have Master of the Universe that is currently in cinemas at the moment, and it's not doing entirely well. I think bringing a big toy franchise back before the 2000s is already concerning. You are running completely on nostalgia bait. You are running off a specific demographic of person that hopefully enjoys it. And I get it. I get the idea, right? You want to try and introduce this to a new group of people. But it hasn't landed as well as I think they wanted it to. You know, it's come back, it's in its, I think, second weekend in cinemas now, and it's not doing entirely well. It's done $29 million domestically and roughly $54 million worldwide. And I think this is a concern for that type of film, seeing as though they've already set up a sequel in multiple post-credit scenes. So, best of luck to them, but I think the way I look at it is make a good movie equals make good money. And I think the struggle of having a film that is not really taken seriously is where these things start to worry. And with a marketing campaign as big as it's been, no wonder it's struggling. But in better news, we have The Backrooms, and Obsession is still climbing the box office ranks as much as it should do. I think it's taken as a global phenomenon, not just because of how well that these films are, how well they've done, but also the ages of these young, talented directors. Age 20 and, 26 is crazy to me. But it proves that talent is out there and you don't need to be a Nepo baby or all of this and all of that. It is there. Give someone a chance. I think we are in a generation now where a lot of us were brought up on the internet. And being able to articulate the talents that we've had of just being in a new generation of learning the iPhone and stuff like that has made us into a generation that this world has never seen. And using the talents from that and the imagination and the things that we've been through and being able to put that into the talent of, movie making, for example, has proved that it works and it's brilliant. And seeing Obsession and Backrooms is still rocketing above, the amount it made to make is genuinely, I think, amazing for all of us. And the thing that brings us beautifully into my review today of Disclosure Day is it ties quite nicely into Disclosure Day. You see, last week, Steven Spielberg was on the red carpet in London for the premiere of Disclosure Day. And he was asked about The Backrooms and Obsession and had you seen them yet? And what do you think? The question was around the fact that, these are such young actors that have dominated the box office. And he himself had done that so many years ago. And he was proud. He was happy to say that, wow, it is there. And brilliant films. He absolutely loved what he had seen. And he was proud to say that, they are so deserving. And I think that coming from, a legend like Steven Spielberg himself is just mental to me and mental to them, and wish them all the best, honestly, because that is possibly the coolest thing in the world to get, a compliment from Mr. Spielberg. But I think that brings us into the main reason I think everyone has joined us today, which is Steven Spielberg's newest sci-fi film, Disclosure Day. So the question you want to ask is it good? And the answer is yes. It's a very good film. I really, really enjoyed it. And before I get into it, I want to state that there are flaws, of course. There are positives, there are negatives to every film, which is what I wanted to discuss today. And I think that I am so judgmental on this film, not just as a movie lover, but also as a kind of sci-fi alien believer nerd. And I think that I don't want it to become biased towards my review, but, I want to speak my mind. So it's a key important thing that I wanted to mention. So outside of films and everything, I am very interested in sci-fi and anything that is, not of this earth. And I find it very, very fascinating. So as soon as I saw that this film about the idea of UFOs and the idea of extraterrestrial life existing and then seeing it being made into a film, and then seeing it being directed by Steven Spielberg, I was ecstatically excited and also massively worried. Mainly because, oh no, what if the two things I love, movies and aliens, gets put in a film and it's awful? But then it's Steven Spielberg, right? And seeing as though he's like literally the king of sci-fi, I like to think that he would do a good job. But it also worried me greatly, mainly because when you have a legendary director that has genuinely, generationally changed and shaped cinema from the masterpieces it has created, you expect greatness again. And I've seen it time and time before where someone may have been great and have slightly lost their way when it comes to, their next film. And I was so worried this was going to be that. I didn't want it to be on the film that I had interest in. But I can confidently say he hasn't lost it. Spielberg is still there. Spielberg is back with what he does best, a sci-fi thriller that is Disclosure Day. So let me get into it and let me talk about it. So Disclosure Day is split into 3 acts. It introduces us to 2 characters. Josh O'Connor's character, which jumps straight in Act 1 into a tense scene where he is running from, I assume, a heist or a break, where he has taken something that is super duper confidential that proves the existence of life outside of our planet. And he believes that the whole world should see it. The government should not own this and they should not be able to hide it from us. It also introduces us to a completely separate character, which is Emily Blunt's character, who is a weather girl who is going through a weird kind of time with her boyfriend, and an even weirder time after she has a weird kind of connection with a bird, which kind of sends her a little bit loopy. And this is a brilliant introduction to this film. You are immediately leaning forwards because the tense moment that this introduces you to is immediately exciting. You don't know what's going on. You already have a rough idea of what Josh O'Connor's doing, but what is happening? Immediately locked in. I loved it. And then we move into Act 2 of the film, where it starts to begin to flesh out these characters a little bit. And this is where I personally had a little bit of an issue with this film, because after being introduced to such a hostile, tense environment of, oh my god, lock in, what is happening, we are introduced to a secondary character in Emily Blunt's story, which is Wyatt Russell's character. Wyatt Russell's character plays Emily Blunt's girlfriend, and nope, Wyatt Russell plays Emily Blunt's boyfriend. And at the time of the story, they are struggling just because of different in-person things that are happening in their life. And then Emily Blunt sees this bird and she becomes a little bit weird. She begins to speak in a weirdly different tongue, an alien language. She begins to speak in different English, like different human languages. And then she begins to start to see and kind of vision and know where people are and objectives that she almost has to have. And I understand this from from Wyatt Russell's point of view, the boyfriend. This would be weird. It would be weird. But I would like to think that in that moment you would be supportive. And after you've already had a moment, a full film leading up to this point, a good half an hour of the film that is so tense and serious, I would have expected this emotion that she's going through to be taken just as tense and just as serious. She's, yes, something's going on, and yes, it's very weird, but the delusions that she's having are real, and she proves that they are real. And I would like to think that his character would have then believed that. And, after kind of being confused as hell as what's going on, would have believed that she is telling the truth and would have gone forward. But instead, what they did, and this is my problem, is they made him a sort of kind of comedic relief. And I didn't need that. I didn't need a funny moment in this film. I feel like we had built up so much tension, knowing we're about to go into even more tension that had been hidden from the world from Steven Spielberg. What is going to happen? I didn't need to soften the blow into that with a kind of jokey character. And I hate to say it pulled me out a little bit. And it made me worry that, oh no, has he lost it? Has Steven Spielberg lost it? Oh no. But don't worry, I was locked in, because what comes next is very interesting. On side of Emily Blunt's Wyatt Russell's character being introduced in Act 2, we are also introduced to what is Josh O'Connor's girlfriend, who admits to him that she used to be a nun. And this is a really lovely comparison in this film. Seeing as though we are talking about, extraterrestrial life, we are then introduced to the idea of religion and how this could coincide. And it is explained and delivered beautifully in the idea that God would have created more than just the perfect life form on Earth. There must have been other ideas in the universe, and this fleshed out Josh O'Connor's character really, really well. It kept the tense of what's previously happening in his life and introduced us to a character that allows him to think differently and also allows us to answer some questions that even we as the audience were questioning ourselves. We then go into Act 3 of this film. And now Act 3 is the big moment for Disclosure Day. Mainly because no one had a clue what they were going into. Steven Spielberg had already announced that everything in the trailer had nothing from Act 3 in it. He wanted to keep that big surprise, whatever it was at the end, into a secret. And he did a brilliant job at that, because nothing in that third act we had seen until that moment in that IMAX screen. And I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm not going to tell you what happens. So for the people that have already watched the film, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But we are delivered the big bad, the big moment, the big finale that is Disclosure Day, all about extraterrestrial life. And I'm not going to lie, it's flawless. It's a masterpiece. That finale is exactly what you'd want out of a sci-fi film, and exactly what you'd want from Spielberg. I am slightly lost for words, because it genuinely lost me into the screen for such a period of time that even after walking out of that cinema, I was quiet for a while, a good 20 minutes, where you have to think. And that proves when a film is done well, and when a film has truly delivered the exact message that it wanted to, is when I am lost for words and I genuinely lose myself for a little bit in time. It's amazing, and it makes you think. And I am not a conspiracy person, really. I like the ideas of them. I read about them a lot. But I can't deny that this film has come out at what I seem to think is quite an interesting time. You see, last year, what was it, in the US, they announced that UFOs are real. And we, as the kind of generation that has been through so much trauma and seen so much, we just didn't care, which is weird. And we should care. But I think that we are just we expected it, right? So we just kind of went, yeah, and I genuinely don't think we reacted the way I think we should have. And after, that message last year, and then a film like this, and with an ending like that, are the governments soft launching something for us? I don't know. And I don't want to be that guy, right? I do find it interesting. But it is what it is. But what did I think of this film? Steven Spielberg, back in sci-fi, back on the big screen, Disclosure Day. It's great. It's a brilliant film. And, if he ended this film as his last ever film ever, I'd be okay with that. And I would think he would send off brilliantly. He started the sci-fi genre stronger than anyone, and almost has the title for how amazing he had done with it. So if he ended on this, I'd be okay with it. If I was to score it, I think I'd give it a 3.9 out of 5. Just because of them issues that I had. And like I said, these issues may not be the same that you had. You might not have had any issues. But I just thought, for a film that was meant to be so serious, taken so seriously about the concept of aliens, Wyatt Russell's character really took me out of that moment. And I didn't need that comedic relief. I was kind of expecting a film kind of like Signs, or kind of like, I don't know. No, Signs is a perfect example. A film that keeps you locked into that tense, terrifying moment that you don't know what's going to happen in Act 3. And this film has all of that, except decides to add a joke in it. And I didn't need that. And it worried me. But this does not mean that this film is bad, because, my God, the performances from everyone are... It's incredible. I would not be surprised if Emily Blunt lands a Best Actress nomination for this film. She truly transcends herself into a genuinely a different being, not even a different person. The whole point is that she is speaking this alien language. She is transcended into being a different being, and it's quite quite amazing, to be honest. And looking into the kind of the interest of what she had, preparing for this film, she looked into a lot of people that believed they'd been abducted, a lot of, alien experiences. And you could truly see that in her. She really was a different character than I've seen her in any other film. And I have to, tip my hat to that, because wow, she did a crazy job. But that doesn't mean that Josh O'Connor did a bad job. Josh O'Connor, well, Steven Spielberg has got exactly what Josh O'Connor is known for out into this film. That quiet little mouse emotion that he gives is shown in this film beautifully. The anger, the emotion, everything that he can do as an individual, as a solo emotional character, is performed in this exactly what you would want. Steven Spielberg has brought that out of him. Josh O'Connor is shining and proving to us why he is going to be what I think is a next big great. He's had a generational run from the short time that we've already known him, but what a performance. I think Disclosure Day is a brilliant film and definitely a contender for, best film of the year so far. What are we in? We're in June. We are, 6 months into the year? And there are some incredible films out this year already, and even more incredible films yet to come. But Disclosure Day is very good. It is very good. I think you're going to be happy to watch it. Steven Spielberg is who he thinks he is. He is him. It's just amazing. Please go and watch Disclosure Day. You'll very much enjoy it. And I don't think I need to say any more. I've not spoiled anything for you apart from the bits I didn't like. And I think it is the prime opportunity to go and watch this film, and the perfect time to end an episode. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Ben, and thank you for watching the Framed podcast. We look forward to everything that we can give you next week with what I think is Toy Story 5. So tune in for that.